A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Today is our third class of making super smart sentences. I have already discussed 5 tips. We will quickly go over them, and then I will be discussing the last 2 tips, inshallah. The first tip was that we can use more than one adjective in a row at the start of the sentence, and if we are doing that, we need to take care of their order. And the order that is famous and that we should take care of is the royal order of adjectives. These were the examples that we shared. Then the second tip was using ing phrases at the start of the sentence. We can also use these ing phrases at the end of the sentence, and this was our tip number 3. Tip 4 was using ly, that is adverbs ending in ly, at the start of the sentence. This was our tip number 4. And tip number 5 was using informative interrupters or appositives in the sentences. The sentence is complete without these additions, and these additions add to the description of the subject, right? So in the first sentence we have the fish, a slimy mass of flesh. A slimy mass of flesh is additional information about the fish. Then the second sentence, the child, face covered with chocolate donut. The child is a subject, and this interrupter tells us more about the child. Now the new tip, which is dependent clause. The dependent clause can come in the beginning of the sentence. Now, what is a clause? Clause is a set of words that have their own verb, right? So it is a set that has its own verb, which means every sentence is a clause, right? So every sentence is a clause, and some sentences can have more than one clauses. In these examples, you see 2 clauses in both of these sentences. Now, one of these clauses is the dependent clause, and the other clause is independent clause. Now, why am I saying this? Let's look at the examples, and then I will explain. Because it rained, this is the first clause. It is the subject, and rained is the verb. Because it rained, when you hear that, you will ask, so what happened? Because it rained, so what? Right? So it doesn't make complete sense. To make complete sense, it depends on another clause. So the next clause explains what happened when it rained. Because it rained, the garden party was postponed. So the party that was to be held in the garden was postponed, means that it will be held later, it will be rescheduled because of the rain. It is not cancelled. Cancelled means that it will never happen again. Okay, so because it rained, the garden party was postponed. Now notice that this second clause, the garden party was postponed, is a complete sentence that makes sense, and it can stand alone as a sentence. Therefore, it is an independent clause, right? So this is an independent clause, and the first part, because it rained, is a dependent clause because it depends on the other clause to make complete sense, right? So you can begin a sentence with a dependent clause. The second one, since the road construction is complete, again, this doesn't make complete sense. Since the road construction is complete, so what happened? So when it is done, so what is the benefit? What is the result? What is the consequence? We don't know. So this is a dependent clause, and the next clause, we can make it home in only 10 minutes, is a complete sentence, so it is an independent clause. So the first one is dependent clause beginning with a conjunction, and the second one is a complete sentence, so it is an independent clause, right? So you can write a sentence beginning with a dependent clause, okay? So when you will practice, you will learn more. Now this is our last tip of this set of super smart sentences. Balanced sentence. A balanced sentence is a parallel sentence. Now, what does parallel mean? In maths, you know that parallel lines go side by side, but they never meet each other. Similarly, these phrases are placed side by side. To be parallel, their grammatical structure has to be the same. Right? Their grammatical structure has to be the same. Now, what does that mean? Let's look at it. Example number 1. He goes out onto the baseball field, spins around second base, and looks back at the academy. Now, look at the verbs. Okay, now look at the verbs. He goes, spins, and looks. Goes, spins, and looks. Okay, all these verbs are in present indefinite tense and they have an S with them. Right? So this is what it means. So they are grammatically from the same category. Then the next one. Choosing the right bread. Choosing is the verb in this phrase. Then putting, mayonnaise, and making sandwiches are all included in my tea time traditions. Right? So choosing, putting, and making. All of them following the same grammatical structure. Please notice that the word mayonnaise is the correct pronunciation, and mayonnaise, which is more common in Pakistan, is not the correct pronunciation. Okay, so mayonnaise is the correct pronunciation. Now look at the last example. For the class, I have to prepare the presentation, schedule a meeting, and conduct it. Again, all the 3 verbs are from the same grammatical category. Okay, so now all our tips are over, and what I want you to do is practice. Review one tip at a time and practice making sentences of that kind. Okay, good luck. Jazakallah. See you in the next class. Allah Hafiz.